average man's not having these hard, tough conversations with other men. They're not. The pride won't let them most of the time. And sometimes you'd be kind of embarrassed if you had to have them conversations. So the average man are not doing that. There may be a select few men who are having these conversations who feel like I can talk to my boy like, hey man, I'm going through some shit. My lady is talking about getting a divorce. What should I do? We're not having that conversation. We want to put on the front like everything's everything with us. Everything's all good. We can handle everything that comes our way. But in reality, we crying on the inside. We crumbling. We hurting. We just don't say shit. We just keep it moving. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, can I say something just for clarity, Marcus, just really quick?
Yeah.
To Luis in particular, I just want to be clear on my position. I am a huge advocate for Black men getting therapy, right? So what we were talking about is what we were just talking about. But I think Black men should get therapy in whatever form that comes. I'm an advocate for seeing a licensed therapist. I prefer that, right? But I also know group therapy works. I do group therapy too, right? If your therapy is going to the barbershop, go holler at Sweeney. If your therapy is going to hoop or ride your motorcycle or shoot pool or, sitting on a panel full of good brothers and chewing the fat and sharpening your sword, mental sword, right? Whatever that therapy looks like, go do that, right? So I want to be clear on that point. That's all.
I definitely appreciate that. You always got to check on your strong friend, right? Because the strongest people have some of the biggest walls up, right? Because they making sure that they strong for everybody. And like Hink said, you never know what they dealing with on the inside, but they just pushing through it. A word of encouragement, just checking in on them, seeing how they doing, a quick text, or having a deep conversation with them where you really get into what's going on in their life and just listen. That can mean the world to somebody. That can keep somebody in this world. I'm sorry, you had a quick comment, Sweeney, then we're gonna go to the video.
I was gonna say I gotta disagree with you on that, Hank. I think the average guy is definitely going to somebody about the shit that is monumental in their life. Now it may take a minute, but when shit hit the fan, we all of us unload on somebody, whether it's our pops, our brother, a friend of ours, an uncle, the nigga that cut your hair. Shit, sometimes you just unload on the nigga that's cutting your grass for the moment. Like, we talk. I definitely believe we talk to somebody. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to share these stories. We all know, all of us done been told about homeboy that been going through some shit. And that's because he talks.
But Sweeney, we talked about the high suicide rate amongst us men. We're not talking to no goddamn body, dog.
But that's because
now listen to what I'm saying. We wouldn't be doing suicide if we was having these conversations. There'll be the numbers will be dramatically lower if we was having these conversations. They're not. You hear about men all the time. They going through some shit and they just sitting and suffering in silence.
Look, to that point, Sweeney, I said this before about how I changed my life and start working in a way where I can express myself and don't become as emotional. But pre-25, I reacted violently to everything. Like, if something go wrong, because I have so much I'm holding on to, if somebody is real disrespectful and get me out of pocket or at anything I assume is disrespect, the response was violence based off of that. Then I got the tools to understand and be able to kind of work through problems in a different way as opposed to just going with my move.
I get all that. What I'm saying is, and even to the point of suicide, most men ain't out there ending themselves. And part of the reason why male suicide rate is higher is because we're more likely to be successful at it. We choose methods that's going to make sure that it gets the job done. You know what I mean? But most men ain't out there ending themselves.
They said most people have had thoughts.
If they was having conversations, you don't think that would be the case?
I would say that I'm not saying that wouldn't be a change, but I don't think that the number is large enough for us to look at it as a problem that men don't speak to one another. We do all the time. We literally everybody on this panel can admit that they done that when the rubber hits the road, when they had to have something to talk about, they needed to talk. They all had somebody they can go to, and they did go to that person. We'd all be lying if we said we didn't.
I held all that in. I'm gonna be vulnerable.
I didn't have that at first.
Yeah.
As a kid, I didn't have it.
No, I get that.
Somebody might have wanted to be there for me. I didn't trust it. So to Hink point, whatever the reason, not everybody can let it out early. Like I had to learn it. It sounded like Hink had to learn it too. I don't know about everybody else, but
Yo, Hink and
so
Marcus, when y'all are talking about all the stuff that y'all are going through as men that y'all didn't talk to, right? I'm just curious, what percentage of those things that you were going through had something to do with a woman?
for me, it was none. It was
It had nothing to do with a woman.
It was family stuff, homeless and shit like that.
Matter of fact, it was because of a man. My father. When I was going through what I was going through, I couldn't stand him. Let me be honest. I hated him. So no, it wasn't because of a woman.
Hank, you play sports though, right?
Yeah.
You didn't go to your head coach about anything?
Yeah, my head coach was a white dude, and I feel like he couldn't relate with me. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I did have an outlet on my staff, but again, like I said before, you have that sense of pride where you don't want to make it look like you're weak. And as a football player, that's the last thing you want to ever look like is weak. The last thing. Shedding tears, showing some type of soft side to you. No, not as a football player. We didn't do that. Now, 2024, these young dudes, they doing that. But they cut from a different cloth. Back in 94 through 98, you better not show that soft side.
Yeah, and a lot of that is condition. That goes down to conditioning too. We're not allowed to. Anytime you try to express yourself, whether it be to a woman, she'll shame you, and depending on what type of men that you are around, they might shame you too. Laugh it off. Oh, you a sucker. Oh man, you soft. And that's what you get sometimes, and it's embarrassing, right? And it's also going to have something to do with what type of a household you grow up in, right? Where if they're not accepting of your feelings and you expressing yourself, then that's not what you're going to have. So it's a different reality for all of us, right? I would say that I had to learn how to express myself better, but it comes with maturity, and it depends on your life experiences. And you have to have people who you feel like you could confide in and won't shame you or belittle you just because you're explaining yourself. So we're not all going to have that opportunity. It's unfortunate. We should. And that's what I think most of us sitting here would do for our children, but not all of us had that opportunity.
Marcus, one more question for you. So you said you used to react violently, right?
Yeah.
What age did you say that you had to stop, that you learned to not react violently?
Like, what was that? 2000 and like 2010-ish. 2010. So I don't know how old was that, like 20, 25, 24, 25.
24, 25. How long do you think you so because I get there's a spot where you stop reacting violently, but there had to have been lessons that you learned prior to that from people that led you to that space.
Yeah, it was a lot of lessons, but so the other thing is, at that age, I really didn't care about like if I was gonna live or die in the moment. Like it wasn't something like mortality didn't seem real to me. I had even come to terms with like I'm gonna end up dying before 25 actually. Like 25 to me was a surprise. And my father died when I was real young, so I always thought his death was my expiration date. Like I'm gonna die as soon as I hit that age. And then my cousin got killed. Then I just start seeing all of this stuff, and death was just around so much. I just embraced that was gonna be me, and I didn't really shed that till I got a different perspective and kind of realized my mortality in a way where it mattered to me. So I don't know if that's an age thing or the circumstance that had occurred, but
I think is you probably did you have kids around that time?
no, I didn't. I had no kids. I was purposely not having them.
Yeah. That's what calmed me down. I had a similar upbringing. That's why I'm so damn laid back now, because I was kind of like similar to that. But when I had kids, that kind of helped me calm me down more because I have more to live for now. So
Yeah.
So, like with me, Sweeney, I played a violent sport. So that was my relief. That was my outlet. But at the same time, if I didn't play the sport, I'd probably be more volatile than I was. But I had an outlet. But that outlet stopped after 98, 22.
Mhm.
So now where do I relieve this excess anger and energy and frustration? Well, like James said, thank God I had my daughter. You know, that kind of slowed me down. That brought me to some sense of reality. But I still had to get over that frustration and anger that I had towards my father. So I had to go to therapy. It took me a couple years, man, before I got past that. And I had to think about, look, I can't. He wasn't there for me. But if he's willing to be there for my daughter, then I'm willing to open up and allow that to happen. Now, I didn't want him to do my daughter the same way. So I had to set him straight. I had to have it's kind of crazy that you have to have a in-your-face aggressive conversation with your father, because I wouldn't think no man should have to do that. But I had to do it. Don't hurt my daughter. Don't break her heart. Don't let her down like you did me. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I had to do.